Whew. Hey everyone, yeah, I'm back. Hope you guys didn't miss me too much. My little staycation, we're at some friends in town for about a week, and then the previous 2 weeks before that, I was preparing some things for that. What carts?
Yeah, somehow there's some way. Oh!
That's finally over, and now we're back to fantasy, and I get to cover it just like in video form right here. So last time we covered fantasy, we were at Talladega, and because I want to dedicate the weeks that I missed out on for their own videos later, we'll be back all the way to Talladega and recap the week there. I'll keep it a lot brief than previous weeks, as I felt like with every video leading up to this particular one at Talladega, I felt my recap strung on a bit too much. Really, the big moments that happened in this race was Joey Logano's blowover. That certainly put a big dent in most people's lineup, and for mine it meant an early garage pick for Jaguars 1. And the other wreck that came off the top of my mind was Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and William Byron all crashing into the grass. Everyone that was able to continue there, except for Alex Bowman. The crash clock expired for him and then he ended up retiring after that. And for most of my rosters that probably already garaged Joey Logano or Kurt Busch. And with this incident happening well after stage 2, our garage picks were already made, and Bowman's incident led to being the worst dent in the starters. And then it feels like with any Talladega race that has this kind of tempo, Brad Keselowski was the one to come out on top of it, and then he rounds out the group of Penske cars with 1 win this year. So good for Brad there. Looking at the lineup results for that week, we got the decent safe plays with Tyler Reddick and Ryan Preece. I was banking on Preece not DNFing, and he sure did. Same exact case with Aric Almirola, unfortunately no stage points, and barely a top 15 finish. For the bonus picks, I got the wrong Penske driver winning. I predicted the one that flipped instead, but fortunately we still get the Ford and Team Penske right. Waste Elliott also has Team Penske, thanks to the split I made in the bonus picks. Kurt Busch was nowhere to be seen this race, as is with most of his results since the Daytona Road Course and Homestead races. Buescher did get some good stage points, unfortunately didn't get a good enough finishing result, and kept him from potentially getting a 30+ point day. I believe at this point, Waste Elliott had the most William Byron plays, and I decided to throw him at Talladega. Fortunately, it paid off, and after Talladega, he continued his top 10 streak there. Erik Jones was a big dud, wasn't even close to replicating last year's result, and essentially matching his results in what he could be getting with that car. So in short, yet another roster that has a few good results here and there, but not the specific ones that got the most. Pick Stenhouse was awfully disappointing. Not only is Kurt Busch already occupying the garage, and Alex Bowman faltering after that, you also got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with about the same amount of points. But fortunately, the rest of this lineup is a whole lot better with Reddick, Blaney, and Byron. And then after looking at the bonus picks, that's about as good as it'll get. Yeah, nowhere close to being right with the bonus picks. No Chevy is a whole lot better. For one, we got the race winner in the starters with Keselowski, and the entire lineup here finished on the lead lap. But unfortunately, I made the safe play in garaging Kevin Harvick. But still though, I don't think the points drop-off wasn't too great. At most, it's only 11-point difference if I were to garage Ryan Newman in favor of Kevin Harvick, and not concerning play usages, I would have definitely kept him in there. He's a lot more resilient at super speedways than I would have thought, but that's to go without saying at super speedways. When you're racing that close together, you can go from 1st to 20th in an instant, and really that's what makes super speedways so difficult to predict. You really gotta play either really safe or just be extremely bold with your picks, and praying that it pays off. And yet again, another embarrassing outing, shall I say, for Jaguars World Network. Only 69 points. Chris Buescher with 25 has the most in the starters. He has the same issues as Pick Stenhouse, although instead of Ryan Blaney or William Byron, you got Erik Jones and Aric Almirola with far less points than them. Not even the bonus picks, a single one of them correct, which absolutely leaves us as a very forgettable week for World Network. Above all, at that point, I believe. And so your top 5 drivers from the week of Talladega. Race winner Brad Keselowski nets you 49 points, 9 of those being stage points. In second is Michael McDowell, proving that his Daytona 500 win was no fluke. He brings it home in third with a total of 45 points, 11 of those being stage points. And after Richmond, Matt DiBenedetto backs up another solid result. He gets a top 5 finish with 42 points, plus the 10 he earned from winning stage 1. Ryan Blaney also scored 42 points, 14 of those being stage points after finishing 9th. And then the 5th most points belongs to William Byron. His runner-up finish plus the 6 stage points gets him up to 41. A bit further down, outside the top 5, shout out to Kaz Grala with his 6th place finish. If you somehow started him, he would have gotten you a good, respectable 31 points. And so that's Talladega. It's quite a while away until the next superspeedway race at Daytona. But for this upcoming Memorial Day weekend, it's the Coca-Cola 600. And as much as I'd like to say throw 12 drivers at you every week, I think it's best going forward that I'll reduce that by quite a bit. About 5 different drivers, all from my different tier category. Plus most of the drivers that are mentioned in top plays. Just kind of rinse and repeat. I sound like a broken record. I'll give you one top play, plus a good blind spot pick. And then if you want to make a deep ball pick, I'll give you my best one for that as well. The cautionary plays, and at least one avoid. Starting this video and beyond, I'm only going to be showcasing 5 different drivers. Plus, if there's a specific driver that you want my opinions on, just leave them down in the comments. Or message me on Twitter, wherever you have access to. I'll get to ya. Also, the information I'll be displaying, it's a mixture of past Coca-Cola 600 history with some data from this year. Most specifically, races run under the 550 horsepower package. Those races include the Homestead, Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Kansas races. And last thing too, this is all being recorded before we've even had any practice data or knowing the starting grid order. So all the information I'm disclosing is just past history. Among the top plays this week, I got my eye closest on Kyle Larson. Currently, he's on a streak of 3 runner-up finishes consecutively, and in every mile-and-a-half race, he's been running very good. We can give the Kansas result a pass, since that was kind of Larson's own undoing, more so than, say, lack of speed. But to put it short, Larson's been very good as of late. Even if, say, your usages are plummeting with him, down to, say, 4 or 5, he's in my box of must-plays for this week. Looking at my blind spot play category, it's rather interesting. Depending on how many players use Keselowski, if the percentage is much higher, then yeah, it'll be a must-play this week. But in this group, I want to pay more attention to Chris Buescher. In his results in the 2021 races under the 550 horsepower package, he's put up some big numbers. Who can forget his dominance in stage 1 and 2 at Homestead, and his respectable showings at Atlanta and Kansas. Plus the tracks coming up are lining up in Buescher's favor. Not only that, we got Charlotte here, that's a pretty respectable track for Buescher. Sonoma's right after it as well. And then right after that, there's Nashville, which should be very similar to Atlanta. Both are old worn tracks. And that could potentially be another good spot for Buescher to run well at. 17 car is steadily getting much better every week. Not counting Dover, he has a trio of 29-point results in the past 4 weeks. That being said, why not expect Buescher to have a 30+ and beyond point day result? For this week, if you choose to go the route of saving Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., or even Kyle Larson, then Buescher's not a good replacement for those drivers. For my deep sleeper pick, you really have to rely on his 2021 stats more so than any past stats he has, due to his time in the Cup Series with semi-competitive equipment, that being Ross Chastain. Taking a sample size of the last 6 races, he's been on the door for good finishes. You'll have to go all the way to the Bristol Dirt Race where he scored less than 20 points, and after a 4th place showing at Circuit of the Americas last week, then I have a good hunch that maybe he'll bring some of that magic over to the 600 this week. His finishes in the 550 horsepower package have been respectable. He's finishing inside the top 15, like at Atlanta and Kansas. But really, it's going to come down to what we see in practice and qualifying from him. If he gets a good qualifying result, for sure, go for it. Anything less than that, then have him in your garage and back him up with stud drivers. In my cautionary plays, I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. As much as I wanted to say play him at Charlotte in a previous video of mine, I got reminded that if there's 1.5 mile track that's pretty sketchy for Hamlin, it's definitely Charlotte. And even though if you sample the last 17 Charlotte races Hamlin was in, only 4 of those 17 races he's finished outside the top 10. The only amount of pause I have at Hamlin is his lack of earning stage points. He hasn't earned any there since stage 1 of the 2019 600 race, and his 2 2020 results leave a lot to be desired. Personally, I'm eyeballing Sonoma a whole lot more than Charlotte for Hamlin's next play, but if you're at say 5 or 6 more uses with Hamlin at this stage still, then go for it. As the regular season point standing leader, I think you can do no harm with playing Hamlin still, but as the category I put him in says, play him with caution. Be sure to pair him up with other heavy hitter favorites, the likes of Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, and even Tyler Reddick. If I had to pick one avoid for this week, kind of a toss-up between either Kurt Busch or Aric Almirola. Almirola is a for sure bet since he's been having a nightmarish 2021 season. He's 28th in points, and the last top 10 he had was in Richmond. Since then, his finishes have been getting worse. 15th at Talladega, 29th at Kansas, a pair of 37th place finishes at Darlington and Dover, and then last week 26th at Circuit of the Americas. And not too far after Charlotte, you got Sonoma and Pocono, two much better tracks for Almirola. If the 10 car has any chance at getting a good results, it's at those tracks. But for who I'm covering in the avoid category, I'm going to be a little bit more bold. Go with Kurt Busch, strictly because he's been such a difficult driver to predict in fantasy. On a similar level to, say, Matt DiBenedetto or Alex Bowman, you could actually justify a play with them with his results at Homestead and Atlanta, well, before he crashed there, and his okay showing at Kansas with 15th, only 22 points. But still, on the same boat as Almirola, this is such a dangerous play to make. I'm at the stage now where I'm only relying on Kurt Busch for road courses, such as Sonoma right after this week, as his best chance at getting another top 10 finish since Homestead. Plus, when it comes to sleeper picks, you're far better off with, say, Reddick, Chastain, or Buescher. So for Kurt, I'm eyeballing Sonoma more so than Charlotte. Now, as much as I would like to show you my lineups this week, I think I'm going to post them on Twitter for one more week. This coming from the fact that there's going to be qualifying for the Coca-Cola 600, just like last week at Circuit of the Americas. By simply knowing the starting grid for this week, I feel like I can make a much better lineup. So instead, I'll display on screen my driver usages remaining. If you want to see my lineups, check out my Twitter, maybe even follow it just to stay up to date with it. Everyone enjoy the holiday week. Sonoma is next on the calendar. Good luck in fantasy this week. I'll catch you next time.